What is up, my fans? It's Slappy time! And I'm finally going to give my top 5 Goosebumps books that involve our friend Slappy. Now, as you know, Slappy is an iconic character in the world of Goosebumps, and he's the ever loving, if you want to call him ever loving, dummy. Just don't call him a dummy himself, though. Ventriloquist dummy, I just did myself, that likes to make kids his slaves, that likes to cause mischief however kind of way that he can. And then when it comes to him being come to life, those magic words I'm going to post on the screen right here are what starts the magic with him. And incidentally, it's the very same spell that you can use to put him back to sleep too. I just hope that if you read the spell too, guys, you don't have your dolls come to life if you happen to say the words out loud too. But with that being said, I'm going to start the list right now, and number 5 is going to be from the Slappy War series, My Friend Slappy. Now, the book is about a boy named Barton Suggs, and he is heavily bullied by two bullies named Travis Fox and Kelly Washington. And he is trying to use Slappy that he gets from his father later on in the book in an attempt to have Slappy be his friend to get back at the two bullies who were so mean to him earlier in the book. I mean, these bullies do some really shitty things to him. For example, even though, like for example, they go to the tabby factory in the first few chapters of the book, and even though the two want to say that they push Barton over into the over the catwalk into a vat of chocolate taffy, uh, it's kind of clear that they did in a sense, and they were drawn to death in that stuff. And then later on in the book, they want him to write a report for him, for them both. And what makes me angry about this character is that even though at first Barton says no to write the reports for them, because there's just, do your own work yourself, don't be fucking lazy, they actually go against everything when it comes to the next chapter when he's going to tell his friend Lizzie about him saying no to the two boys. Then all of a sudden, the two boys are not too far away from where he's walking up the path towards, and there's a dog that is in the neighborhood too that's owned by this person that lives in the area too. And what I don't understand is the two boys actually unhook the dog without getting bit themselves. Sorry. And they just sick the dog onto Barton to have the dog attack him, and then all hell breaks loose. And I figured to myself, they must at some point probably own this dog or something. I guess that's what you kind of assume. But no, they just are trying to pull this mean trick on him to get him to do what they want him to do. And after the scare from the dog, when he could have just told the owner because he was laying on the ground, obviously, when the dog was attacking him, to have the owner understand what he needed to understand about what the two boys did, but he believed that he wouldn't believe what he was talking about. So, in a scare tactic, he writes reports for the two boys, and the boys get I guess kind of upset because it's not perfect grades like they wanted, but it's still decent enough grades for them to still pass the thing. And the whole deal was to have him, have them not do the things anymore that they said that they were doing to him, like when it came to calling them slugs. That's their nickname for Barton, unfortunately. And then also when it comes to taking him to a concert, the concert had already been, done since the last week or so. And in this case, Barton is pissed, but he should have just said no to the boys when he had that chance to, and to not go for all the frustration. So they get into a fight. He gets suspended. The two boys got off scot free at that point. So I thought that was kind of bullshit. But then he gets Slappy later on. In fact, he actually has Slappy during the whole time. It's just when the next chapter from that point when he's suspended from school and his friend Lizzie comes over to see about him is when the spell is read, and that's when all the things start. And there's like a struggle back and forth in trying to get Slappy to be Barton's friend so he could try to do what the boys did to him. It's kind of like a using thing. That's why I don't like this character much. But the story is still good in a sense because Slappy is, of course, Slappy. You can't get any more than that. And he's um, finally they're two friends, but of course Slappy takes his stuff too far, and he tries to mess with the two boys and stuff, and like he has Travis up in a tree, and has Kelly dancing around in the house and stuff, where he's breaking a lot of priceless Chinaware and stuff in the house too. It's a fucking mess. And then it goes too far when it spreads over to Barton's friend Lizzie when Slappy wants to attack her and stuff because now Slappy and Barton are supposed to be close knit friends, is what he thinks, and just take her out so that way there's no one else but just him and Barton's wife. So yeah, that's how it goes. And then of course they, confront Slappy and stuff in the end, and then he's back to sleep again. And the ending is bullshit when it comes to what you think you heard and stuff like that. It's just ridiculous. That's why I hate about these books. They have a good story going on for most of the book, and then we get to the ending, they just totally fall apart. I have no idea why that happens. It sucks, you know. The ending sucks, or the book itself sucks though. But the character, the protagonist, I have problems with though, because he seems a bit indifferent. But other than that, the story itself is pretty good. So if you want to read the book too, you can check it out. Or if you want me to read the book for you too, sometime in the future, I'm gonna put that comments down below, and I will do that for you guys. Number 4, The Ghost of Slappy. Now, this was a very surprising book for me, and I say that because I almost didn't get a chance to read this book on my channel at all. But something told me just to go ahead and just read it because the story itself is pretty, very good too. And it involves this boy named Shep, and Shep is, um, he's sort of like a scaredy cat in a sense, but in a sense we kind of understand where he comes from with things. And he has this uh, ghost that's in his house called Anna Lee, and he has no idea what she wants at first. And going through the story too, uh, he gets Slappy at some point too, by accident or on purpose from a bully who used to be a friend of Shep's named Trevor Pincus. I want to say Pink Eye, but leave that alone. Uh, so he gets that from Trevor after the whole camp thing is over with and things go horribly wrong. As a matter of fact, when they're on the bus ride, Slappy's already alive at that point, and he's already driving the bus and just going into manic, chaotic mode and stuff. It's freaking nuts and stuff. And then the teacher is able to read the spell to put him back to sleep again, and at that point he's put into a bag. And when they get into the campsite or the campfire site at that point, the teacher asks if they want to see Slappy and stuff for in the reels. And what happens is that he's been put away into a bag, and he asks Trevor to go pick up the bag with Slappy in it, and then Trevor comes back and says that the bag is gone. But what happens is that he actually did like a switcheroo and stuff with, I think, Shep's bag, gives him Slappy, so give him all the scares that he can give him at that point. So he finally has Slappy and stuff, and I don't understand the reason why he has a sister named Patty. Well, not to say he has a sister, but it's the fact that his sister just goes in and just reads the spell and stuff after they told her not to read the spell. And of course, Slappy becomes alive and stuff, and just getting ready to. And in the fear of Slappy, he's just getting ready to go over to the school to drop him off, so that way his teacher will know that Slappy is so right one piece and stuff, and Slappy comes alive, and to prevent all that from being taken back over to the school. And then going forward in the book, Slappy gets away from Shep at that point from the house. He's in the graveyard, I guess trying to lure him out there and stuff, and and then there's a bit of a struggle in the graveyard too, and Shep has falls into this hole that Slappy had pushed him into and stuff, I guess, and Then this is where Slappy becomes the ghost when Shep is trying to climb out of the hole, and then he pulls Slappy down into it, and it causes him to fall into, I think, the ground or rock or something, with just crack his head open. So from that point, Slappy is now officially a ghost after that incident. So the whole time he's just haunting Shep during most of the story and stuff, embarrassing in front of his friends, especially his love interest, Mary Jane Dewey. We'll talk about her in a little bit. And so much to the point where it just makes him like a laughing stock in front of the kids and stuff in the school, and makes it where he pretty much can't do anything without him being so close to him to make his life miserable in a sense. There's also a scene where there's a birthday party of Shep's best friend Carlos. Carlos, yeah. And then Slappy's ghost happens to break up the party at that point too, and Shep is about to go on a horse ride at that point. Okay, and oh my god, Slappy's ghost spooks the horse, sends the horse out of control with Shep on the horse still too, and horse flings Shep off into the ground, nearly killing him. But Carl is more worried about his party. He says stuff like this: "You ruined my party! You ruined my party!" Like, dude, what about your best friend? He almost got killed by being, flung off a horse. Fuck the party. You can party never any time that you want to. But that's not what married this guy. There's also a scene too with Mary Jane, which is also Shep's love interest, or at least uh, used to be his love interest, though, where she brings the same present, the same game, which was the present that Shep brought for Carlos, and Mary Jane calls Shep a jerk, a creep actually, because it's the same thing that she bought. I'm thinking to myself, so what if you bought the same gift? Because tell you what, he can have one game to play for it now, and the other game he can have wrapped up for a long time, and the game becomes very popular and very rare and stuff. You can make some big bucks from that money if you choose to sell it. What the hell is wrong with you? But no, calls him a jerk, calls him a creep because of that. So I just thought that was crap too. And what's even more crap is the ending of the book when Shep has to pretty much get Slappy out of the hole, his ventriloquist dummy shell out of the hole that he had him at that point, and to try to get rid of the ghost so he can try to live a somewhat normal life again. And then that's where we have the conversation with Anna Lee again, the ghost that kept haunting the house in the first place. And then she takes the spell, which was missing for most of the part in the book, takes a spell, and tells Shep that she was only there trying to take up unfinished business. We never know what kind of business is though, but we have to assume it's nothing good though, because she keeps talking about that she lived a very selfish life and stuff like that. So she has to do one good deed to go to the beyond. Okay, and then the good deed that she does is takes a spell and rips it into pieces and making it where Slappy cannot be put back to sleep ever again because of that. And the good deal was actually for Slappy, not for Shep. And the reason why she did that is because, in a way, she's kind of saying, you were afraid of me. You told me to go away and stuff like that. So because of you not trying to listen to me and because of you being afraid and stuff, I'm going to just give the dummy over here the win and have you just take the big L, say fuck you in turn, and now I'm going to go to Great Beyond. Yeah, Great Beyond the hell, basically, I hope at least. I mean, what kind of message is that telling people? Just don't be afraid, basically. No matter how devastating something may be. That's not right. You don't do that to people. I just felt bad at one point, going off topic here though. I used to watch the Maury show a lot back then, and Maury would have these guests on here to have these different fears or phobias and stuff on his show. And they'd be things like people be afraid of cotton balls, and be afraid of Reynolds wrap, and be afraid of mustard and ketchup and stuff like that. I used to think that those things were silly back when I was growing up, but then I didn't ever, because I guess to me I thought it was funny back then, but looking back at it now, If that's the actual fear a person has, you can't take that too lightly. That's very serious there. And um, now I feel bad for kind of doing that right now, but this kid Shep gets screwed over for absolutely no reason. You know, that's wrong. But the story itself is still good. It's just the ending that kind of just leaves you unsettled because it makes the character get punished for just having a fear that they have every right to have because it's the way you confront him with it that makes him feel the way he does. He wants to get more away from you. He's not going to want to be your friend. He's going to want to just simply just, you know, want you to vanish because you're frightened the fuck out of him. What is wrong with you? But anyway, Ghost Slappy is number 4, and the ending itself is, you know, it's sad. It's dark ending actually too, but it's still pretty good book for what it is, still, guys. Number 3, Slappy's Nightmare. Now, this book is in the middle of the list here because the book is very good with the story. It puts the antagonists in a position where they have no choice but to do good for themselves in order for them to still be alive. But the problem with the book, and everyone else that reviewed this book is correct about this too, is the fact that the ending is really lackluster because we actually get the glimpse of what appears to be for real, but we never really get the chance to see the thing carry out for real. That sucks. But then I think about the title too, like I said back in the my review for the book too. This is really about Slappy's nightmare. Now, nightmare could be taken into consideration for subjective, reasons. It could be for his subconscious, where he's in such a situation that he doesn't want to be in, but he's, not really living it at that point. Or it could be just doing something that he dreads doing for real, but he has no choice but to do it in order for him to benefit. And Slappy is a character that you kind of love to hate because of what he does when he's awake, when he's awake to do things. But in this case, the the owner, which is Jimmy O. James at the point, had enough of it and decided to turn the tables on him by actually being the one to have the spell to put him to sleep permanently. So even if you had the other spell, which wakes him up, it would supersede that because this one's going to be strong enough to just, negate that one, and he can't be put back. He can be waking up ever again after that point. So with this curse that he has on right now, he has to do 3 good deeds in order for him to be um, free from the curse that he's been put under. And this is like a really very big case of who done it in this case about whenever Slappy does things, he actually gets the good deeds negated in a sense, all because of certain character that is really trying to be alive himself too, of course, to undo everything that he does just so he can, still be alive himself and at that point too. And it kind of makes it really feel for the bad guy in a sense too, because yeah, he's still a villain. That's flat out. But this is one villain that actually has a, soft spot if you look deep enough to find it. They sometimes say that sometimes doing good deeds is not really easy. I guess I guess it probably isn't for whoever the person is. But if you would deep down in yourself to do something, you never know that you could actually do it. And yeah, he was forced to do it though. But for a time, it seemed like that he was actually feeling like doing good was good for a sense. Rob until it got screwed up by big reveal. The other dummy that Jim O. James had, whose name was Wally, and a lot of things rolling around the two, like Stella, the sister of Georgia. But all in all, this book is very good for the story that we got. It's just a shame that we just never get a chance to see the thing actually took place, though. From the ending of the book. But I guess you have to assume that Slappy was able to get the upper hand on Jimmy O. James and make it where he couldn't read the spell on him because, this son of a bitch is still alive after all these other books too. So yeah, I really think that he probably succeeded. In his nightmare, he probably couldn't succeed. He kept getting everything screwed up one after another. And in the um, end of the book, maybe it's left through speculation that maybe Slappy actually won. So I don't know. But anyway, very good story, and I feel really good for reading it though. After a long time of not, reading it, I've heard of it before, but never reading it actually ever until, just recently. And I feel very, good to read the book finally, and also really feel good to read a book for you guys too if you ever heard before in your life. Number two, Night of the Living Dummy 2. Now I haven't read this book on my channel just yet, but this is a very good book that actually has Slappy as the main, I keep saying antagonist of the book, as opposed to the first Night Living Dummy book that had Mr. Wood as the antagonist in that book. So I can't use the first one because Slappy doesn't even appear in the book until the very ending, and that's not really enough to judge anything based on his character from that first book. But in the second one here, you can. And what I can really say is the book is very short, and you only get like a little glimpse of what Slappy does after the spell is read to make him come to life. And he does things like mess up Amy's sister Sarah's room with her paints. She's a painter and stuff. Um, and then Amy takes him to a birthday party of a 3-year-old little girl. And this part kind of really got to me. I have the audiobook for this book too. It kind of got to me when it came to how he just grabbed her little hand and just would not let go of it, and some point even crushing it. This fucker is so dirty, man. A little child. Then when it comes to messing up Sarah's room again with paint, having blaming Amy for it, and whole thing's about Amy just trying to prove Slappy is the culprit behind all these things that he's doing, that she's being blamed for. And this is the first book that I've actually seen where uh, the parents actually do get a chance to witness Slappy in the act for the final climax, though. And it's never really understood as to how the dummies, she has another dummy called Dennis that comes to life in their book too. And I think there's kind of like some speculation as to how he's able to come to life in the book too. Well, I think because when she read the spell, which we'll get to in a little bit too about that, it caused like a radius of every ventriloquist dummy that may be in the area, or at least in that kind of space, to be affected by the spell. So when it's read, it makes them come to life too. Doesn't work in just Slappy. It could work in just any dummy, I guess, too. I guess who knows. But when it comes back to the spell, however, it's never really referenced ever again. Even though Slappy does mention to Amy when she comes to life in chapter, I think it's 19, I believe, in the book. Yeah, it's 19 in the book actually. He references to her about how she read the ancient words, but she's more about trying to get rid of Slappy and not really think too much about the spell anymore at that point. It's kind of interesting though. But book is kind of too short for what it does though, because I wish there was more of interaction with Slappy in the book with Amy and stuff, and oh god, this is the kind of book where Slappy gets his ass handed to him by two girls. Yes. Oh man, the very same thing that happened to Mr. Wood in the first book with Lindy and Chris is the very same thing that happens to him in this book too. Oh god. And then he just comes back and just all covered with dirt and stuff in the house as if nothing ever freaking happened and stuff. And then he keeps talking about how well, first off, I have to give Slappy some credit. I don't think he ever said anything about he had powers. If he probably did, he sure freaking used them when he had the chance to, because Mr. Wood said the same shit in the first book. I have powers! Let me go! I have powers! But you don't do anything to show that you have them! Oh my god. But yeah, even though the ending was kind of rushed, because it feels like it was rushed too, it's the exact same story as the first one, but at least this one has Slappy as the main antagonist in the book, and boy, it's a good read. it's a good read about stuff, about Slappy and stuff too. So, oh, by the way, if you want me to read the book to you sometime soon, let me know about that. Comes down below too, and I'll rush out the book that I have in my collection here, and I'll read it sometime soon, probably next year, I guess. And now for number one, my personal favorite Slappy book of all time is Slappy Birthday to You, the first one ever in the Slappy World series. Oh my goodness. This book is, at least in my opinion, a very excellent entry into Slappy World, and have Slappy, of course, be the main, way to kick it off. And you can't really get any better than this about, him being a birthday present to this boy named Ian Barker that gets him for his birthday and stuff. And of course, when the spell is read, I think by his two cousins, Vinny and Johnny, those two asshats, that's when the trouble starts and stuff. But of course, things don't really come to a full head until much like in the middle of the book, when they have this competition thing, family contest is what's what they call it actually, and Ian is trying to do an act with Slappy, but of course, when it comes to stuff like that, it's more about just Slappy is making words of his own come out, but Ian isn't the one that's saying them though. But people sometimes think that he's so good at throwing his voice that he's actually making it seem like he's speaking for Slappy, even though he's really not doing it though. So he gets punished for some various things that Slappy does in the book too, like make a mess in the kitchen. He takes his sister Molly's doll Abigail and I guess drowns it in a fish tank or something, and just insults the family too, and says rude comments about the mom and stuff, and compares the father to diarrhea or some shit like that. It's just funny all the way around the board when it comes to it though. It's just crude insults. At some point, Vinny and Johnny, who are Ian's cousins, they steal the dummy to make it seem like that it's a joke that they're trying to pull on him though, and I guess home for ransom is what they say. But unfortunately, the two idiots don't realize that the spell has already been cast on Slappy, and he's alive and well to do his shit to whoever he wants to. And he absolutely messes the hell out of these two boys, sliming them with his stuff that he shoots out of his nose and stuff. And then when it comes to trying to get out of the room, he magically locks the door and stuff. I'll get more about that too later on in that review. And they're kind of forced to take him back to Ian's house after the mom sees him, and and then they go back into the house, and they try to go through the garage to sneak in there to drop him off and stuff, and actually try to do so. Then Happy just doesn't like that idea, because his idea for being sent back into the house of his own plan is to have them get the spell that will put him back to sleep. He wants a hold of it so that way he can, take it, tear it up, so that way no one can put him back to sleep ever again. That kind of stuff, though. But unfortunately for him, the boys want no part of it, so they drop him off in the garage, and then this is where the fun ensues. Oh, yeah. So he traps him in the garage, and everything just goes bonkers, where he just causes everything to just magically fly and stuff. Got power mowers going, got a water hose, shooting water at them and stuff. It's fucking funny as hell. I love that chapter. If you don't know, it's chapter 30, if you're interested about that book, though, too. And of course, he makes a mess in the garage. They can't get out because he's magically make the garage gate, stuck. And then when damage is done, the father comes up to investigate the noise, and then he sees the two boys in there, and he's losing his shit about how everything is just soaked and destroyed, for good reason. And they're trying to blame the dummy on it, though. But of course, Slappy just go limp, where he can't be seen to do anything at that point. So of course, not believing their story, he calls their parents. The parents ground him for about a few weeks, I think, or so, or for a month or so, I guess. I forgot how many months they were grounded for, but it's a very serious thing to them, so you don't do that. So now Ian, his sister, and the two boys want to band together to try to put an end to Slappy and stuff. And this is where the battle comes up, where Slappy has pretty much every doll, because the father is also a doll maker too, I think. And he's got like a doll hospital in his workshop in the basement. And he makes it where all the dolls come to life and stuff and start attacking everyone in there too. And another thing where you get a what the fuck moment is when Abigail, who is Molly's doll, comes to life, and the very spell that Slappy was trying to get for himself to prevent from being read onto him actually gets into her possession, and then she actually reads the spell and causes him to fall asleep. Oh god. Oh, by the way, she wants to make the family her slaves now too. After all that, make it where that she's the top dummy and stuff, and not Slappy anymore. Oh my goodness. I know there's some main story books out there I haven't read just yet, but I plan to get to them at some point in time too, like The Son of Slappy, Slappy New Year, and I Am Slappy's Evil Twin. I know about that book existing too, just haven't got a chance to read it just yet. But let me know, guys, in the comments down below what your favorite book is that involves our fine wooden friend Slappy here. And, let me know about what kind of book you want me to read in the future too, coming up. And hope you enjoyed the list I make. I'm sorry about going into much detail about the books though, but there are some things I wanted to get out there that kind of, bugged me in a sense about some problems with the books. So I hope that you didn't mind my, deep insight into those problems too for you guys. So if you ever want to read them too, see where I'm coming from with it. So that being said, guys, this is my review for top 5 books I read that involve Slappy. Hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe if you want to do so. Until then, guys, take care and peace out. And just remember, this is Slappy World. You only scream in it.